Hello everyone, this is Maki. In Japan, there's a magazine called Gundam, which publishes comics and articles from the Gundam series. The latest issue featured interviews with the main staff of GQuuuuuuX. I'd now like to share their comments with those of you who live in countries or regions where Gundam isn't available. These are the words of Mr. Kazuya Tsurumaki, who served as the overall director of GQuuuuuuX, and Mr. Yoji Inokido, who worked as the main scriptwriter. Let's take a look at the passion they put into the story of GQuuuuuuX. Today, I will be discussing topics such as why Machu visited Earth, why Universal Century 0085 was chosen as the setting, and the hidden shadow of Optimus Sirocco within the mobile suits. Before we get into the main subject, let me make a quick announcement. On my channel, I'm inviting support through membership. For just 99 cents a month, you can get a name badge and a badge for your comments. Alright then, let's begin the analysis. First, let's talk about why Machu went to Earth. The protagonist, Machu, was born and lived in space. This is why she had a longing to see the real Earth with her own eyes. However, at the start of the project, director Mr. Tsurumaki said that there were no plans for the protagonist to visit Earth. Mr. Inokido laughed as he explained since Mr. Tsurumaki likes F91, he thought it would be okay if the story didn't involve visiting Earth. Here's what Mr. Inokido said about why Machu ended up going to Earth. From the perspective of the story structure, it was necessary for Machu to go to Earth. At the climax, the massive weapon Io Magnaso appears, threatening to destroy the people of Earth. If Machu hadn't seen Earth with her own eyes, she wouldn't have felt a real sense of crisis. It was important for her to visit to meet the people there and talk to them. Lala and the others helped her to live on Earth. To annihilate all of humanity on Earth would also mean killing Lolo and her friends. Unless Machu truly felt this in her heart, the story would not have gained its persuasive power. In Sha's counterattack, there's a scene in which Mirari, Noah, and others appear. I interpret this scene as showing the audience that protecting Earth also means protecting them. Hearing the words, Earth will perish alone doesn't create a real sense of tension. But to be honest, the main reason was probably my suggestion to the director, let's have her go to Earth. So, in addition to GQuuuuuuX, Mr. Inokido also shared his interpretation of Sha's counterattack. In the Gundam series, new stories often emerge from the individual interpretations of different creators. GQuuuuuuX is a prime example of that. The idea that tension is born because it's a situation that personally matters to you also shows up in Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino's stories. Coincidentally, I recently released a program on the topic of the true purpose behind Garen Zabi's colony drop. In that program, I discussed the idea that the Earth's Federation government only begins to act with full force when they themselves are directly threatened. This is a real example of how people don't change their actions just by being told something. They need to experience it for themselves. Among the elements that stirred up some discussion among fans, Optimus Sirocco has to be one of the most notable. When the film Beginning was released in Japan, Mr. Tsurumaki mentioned Sirocco briefly during the stage greeting. He said that Sirocco's presence brought about major changes in history. That's why they chose to set the story of GQuuuuuuX in a time before Sirocco appeared on the main stage of history. Mr. Tsurumaki shared his thoughts on Sirocco. When the project first began, I wanted Machu and the others to be born in the post-war era. I was imagining periods like Universal Century 00, 9500, 98. I felt those years matched the themes I had in mind. However, setting the story in those periods meant that many historical events had already taken place. We would have had to build the world of GQuuuuuuX while taking all of those events into consideration. That's why we decided to set it in a period before Zeta Gundam. It's not that the existence of Sirocco alone was considered a particularly huge factor. But Sirocco, Miniba, and Haman are all there. They are all important figures who shaped history. It would feel unnatural to exclude them from the story entirely. However, if we included them, there would simply be too many key elements in the narrative. So we chose an era where the historical building blocks were still relatively simple as the setting for GQuuuuuuX. Mr. Maki and the team created the world of GQuuuuuuX with great freedom. At the same time, however, they respected the history of the Universal Century in their storytelling. It also became clear that Haman and Sirocco do exist in the world of GQuuuuuuX. What choices will they make in the coming era? Haman in particular is a character deeply influenced by the ideals of the Zombie family. It is intriguing to consider what attitude she might adopt towards Artisha, a member of Seonjun Daikon's family. Perhaps the next opponent that Sharia Bull and Ixubi will face will be Haman Khan. Lastly, Mr. Maki made an intriguing comment about Sirocco, which I will share here. The shadow of Sirocco appears briefly in the story of GQuuuuuuX. The hand Robbie is a mobile suit that Sirocco designed while he was part of the Jupiter fleet. At this point, he is still aboard one of the fleet's ships. The idea is that he designed it during the journey towards Jupiter, sent the data via transmission, and it was assembled based on that. The ham Robbie was the mobile suit that Bascom had Gates Kappa pilot. Some viewers probably wondered why didn't he just use a mobile suit from the Earth's Federation forces. It seems Mr. Tsurumaki's intention was to show the audience that Sirocco does exist within the world of GQuuuuuuX. By using a mobile suit that was still under development, he may also have been able to conceal their connection to the Earth's Federation forces. Another important factor here is magnet coating technology. The ham Robbie that appears in Zeta Gundam is equipped with a transformation system. In that era, mobile suit transformation systems were made possible by magnet coating technology. Without the ability to facilitate smooth movement of complex components, it would not be possible to install a transformation system. In the world of GQuuuuuuX, it was explained that magnet coating technology was still only in the prototype stage. That's why the ham Robbie in GQuuuuuuX was given the setting that transforming requires a long time. As the transformation system was incomplete, it was not intended for use in battle. Rather, the form had to be selected and prepared in advance. Once magnet coating technology becomes fully practical and Sirocco returns from Jupiter, what events might unfold in the world of GQuuuuuuX? It's interesting to speculate on how things could develop. There are still plenty more fascinating elements to this interview. I plan to continue introducing these while continuing the analysis. So please look forward to it. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I'll see you again in the next program.